your impressions for the 10th contest of Aleph, which you visited, and your visit in Burgas as a whole. What is your impression for the whole event?
So first of all, it's my first time visiting Bulgaria and beautiful Burgas, where we're standing here now. I think I was quite surprised of a few things. Number one, there are similarities between the Israeli people and the Bulgarian people. Number two, the atmosphere is very warm and open, and it reminds me a lot of home. We're also very open and warm society back in Israel. Number three, the extent of the conference really amazed me, because I was meeting there, and I met there many children, kids, youth, teenagers, boys, girls, different ages from many countries in Europe, which instead of investing time in TikTok and Instagram, as you know, this is what kids do, actually decided to learn history, and the history of the Jewish people, and the history of the Jewish people in Bulgaria. From the theme of Jewish people in Bulgaria, they found out more information about the Holocaust. So for me, it was very important to hear. On a personal level, I have a father who is a Holocaust survivor, who is 83 years old, and was born in Poland in 1940. And he only a few months ago chose to share his story with the entire family for the first time when he was 83. So hearing from the next generation what their plans are to prevent a similar Holocaust of taking place in the future was very meaningful for me.
Are there specific lessons, as you said, or stories that you will take home with you from this event?
Yes, of course. Number one, Aleph started this project 10 years ago. And to think that from a very small idea of a few students, yesterday we filled the International Convention Center here with hundreds of people and dozens of students from many, many countries. You can really see that this from one dream and one idea, there is a whole universe now, which is quite impressive, and I really salute Aleph for this amazing work and devotion, dedication. I think it's important for every person in the world, doesn't matter if he's Jewish or not, to understand what is the Holocaust, because one of the biggest issues that we have in the world today against Jewish communities is increasing anti-Semitism. And we in AJC do polls every year. We do it in Europe and we do it in the US. And every year the situation is worse and worse. Every year we see growing numbers against Jews in anti-Semitism. And if you look at a country like the United States, which is a great friend of Israel, but the Jewish community there is less than 2%. And still, this is the number 2 group in America to receive hate and anti-Semitism, although it's so small. And in Europe, we see it also increasing. And this is something that the authorities should fight, and they should legislate, and they should enforce it. And Aleph is doing education. He's educating the kids. The governments have a different role to make sure that when something anti-Semite is happening, that person sits in jail or gets a punishment or some kind of law enforcement, so it doesn't repeat and spread in bigger scales.
And why is this story about the this Bulgarian case, especially not so very well known worldwide? Why do you think so?
Look, there are many stories of Jewish communities which are not that known in the world, but there is a big Bulgarian Israeli community, and they came from here, and I met with them before coming here to Burgas, and they told me something which was very special to the Bulgarian Jewish community. They said that they love the country, they love Bulgaria, they had great life here, their neighbors here treated them like anyone else, and they're continuing the heritage with their grandchildren and children. And this is something that you don't see in many communities because Israel has a lot of immigrants from many countries. My father, told you, came from Poland. My father doesn't want to go to Poland. He doesn't want to visit. He doesn't want me to go. He doesn't want to do a family trip. But the Bulgarian community in Israel is at a different place. Totally the opposite. They have their own culture. They have their own Bulgarian food and restaurants in Israel. They have a Bulgarian school. They have a Bulgarian football team. They have a Bulgarian choir. In other words, they're so connected to the country, even today, so many years later, 80 years later, that their experience was positive at the end of the day. And this is something which is important to tell.
Is art going to save the world?
Art?
Art, yeah. Because these kids were writing, they were making art. And art is their way to tell the story. Do you think art will somehow save the world at the end of the day?
I think art has a very important place in the world. And I think some people understand messages and connect to information through art. Whether it's story writing, novels, whether it's paintings, sometimes a picture which transforms some kind of a message. I think it's usually stronger than maybe a whole article. Could have an impact which is stronger. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I believe in art. I think it's important. But in order to prevent anti-Semitism and fight it, education is key. It's important. This is what Aleph did and what he's been doing. But the governments all over the world should also legislate laws that will enforce punishments if such anti-Semite attacks take place. I'm happy to say that here in Bulgaria I felt very welcomed, very hospitable, very much at home. Overall a very, very positive experience. And again, this is my first time here, so I have only good words to say.